في أكبر الكتب.
Congratulations, you have found the Lambcast, the official podcast of the large association of movie blogs, also known as the Lamb. The Lamb is the largest collective of online movie blogs and podcasts with 2,000 members and counting. Every week on the Lambcast, various members of the Lamb community get together to talk about our favorite subject, movies. So bookmark the Lamb and follow us on social media. Be sure to join us each week to hear a lively discussion of films and movie-related talk from our members. Join the flock at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Good journey, everyone, and welcome to the Lambcast. I'm your host, Richard Kirkham, and this week we're traveling to Eternia and back to evaluate the newest contestant for mastery of the box office. It's a major motion picture that reboots a failed previous cinematic version of the subject matter that's based on a cartoon series that was essentially a continuous commercial for a toy line that inspired it. Since its initial launch, the franchise has spawned a variety of products, including multiple lines of action figures, 7 animated television series, several comic series, video games, books and magazines, a daily newspaper comic strip, and 3 feature films. The 1987 film has acquired a cult following of enthusiasts in spite of its decidedly mixed reception at the time. Yes, folks, now 45 years after the toy line was introduced, we have an elaborate new film of Masters of the Universe, capitalizing or at least attempting to capitalize on nostalgia and modern film sensibilities. With me today are 2 allies of the Lambcast, but whether they'll be seen as heroes or villains will be predicated on your opinion of the film. First up, she's the man I always wanted to be. Fierce, athletic, and talented. She does not have a helmet on her head for ramming, but she can be pretty hard-headed. Author, podcaster, and friend, Heather Baxendale Walsh.
Hello, Richard. I don't like to feel good. I like to feel evil.
We're also joined by another fierce warrior. She comes complete in a shrink-wrap plastic package with swords to brandish while dancing. It's quite possible she's the missing sister of Prince Adam, and thus a member of the royal family of Eternia. Jeanette Ward.
Yes, when I hold up my hand aloft, it means that I'm done.
Well, hang on. It's about to get weird. We're going to start with everybody's discussion about their history with the Masters of the Universe, because I think that we come from very different perspectives, and that might affect our perception of the film as well. Heather, I'm going to start with you because I know that you are an enthusiastic, not only follower, but member of the cult, would I say?
Yes, 100% perfect.
How dare you?
Exactly. Yes, I am here. Oh gosh. I know, like I'm a 1981 baby. So the show for me was, first of all, She-Ra was the first show where I saw female cartoons kicking ass. But even in He-Man, they had these great female characters. You had Evelyn and you had Teela. I don't know. I got sucked in right away. It was my favorite thing from the second I saw it. It was every week on Saturday mornings. I was like, He-Man and She-Ra, He-Man and She-Ra, He-Man and She-Ra. And we got 2 He-Man and then we'd get 2 She-Ra episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Even today, now I have indoctrinated my 9-year-old with He-Man and She-Ra as a child. The lessons we learned were so good. It was so wholesome and, dare I say, woke at the time. And it was so much fun. It was funny. It was full of action, excitement. And we had, Conan, and we had all of these, we know the 80s muscle guys. We had Schwarzenegger. We had Stallone. So He-Man looked like that, but he was kind of a sensitive, nice guy who was really, really sarcastic. I just was obsessed, absolutely obsessed. I still have my She-Ras. Even the ones that my little brother cut his hair off of. Yes. As I got older, they sometimes became my Barbie's children because I made my Barbies have jobs and children and pay bills. Don't ask. Actually, that might be explain a lot. but it was my favorite show as a kid. I loved Thundercats and Voltron and
Hmm. Hmm.
Transformers and all of those too, but it was and still is He-Man and She-Ra for me all the way through. So, in fairness, too, I would like to warn everybody I am probably going to be a little pickier about some of the things that I say because it is precious to me. But I am also objective and fair. Just a little more picky, but it is so dear to me. And I am such a Skeletor girl. So, Jared Leto, I have some things to say.
Jeanette, how about you? Were you enamored of the toy line? Did you watch the cartoons? Are you part of the cult also?
I am cult adjacent. I absolutely have such a soft spot in my heart for He-Man and She-Ra for all of the reasons Heather just said. Yeah, strong female representation, 80s versions. It was the only kind we got at that
Yep.
point, and the cartoon was, man, I loved it. And when it was first airing in the 80s, yeah, I'm a little bit older than Heather, so yes, the first run, but then also I remember distinctly coming home from school, like middle school, high school, and it being on in the afternoons, and so you could watch it every day. So there was like He-Man, She-Ra, and I don't know if that was just our local station or whatever, but yeah, it was the lessons afterwards, and we all were aware, like, okay, the animation is not great, and these characters are silly, and I understand that they are exclusively created to sell toys. We never
Mhm.
really had any of the He-Man, She-Ra toys, as far as I can remember. It was pretty much Star Wars, period, in my house. But I feel like it just, yeah, it was fun. It was fun, and it was harmless, and it was fluffy, and I just really enjoyed it as a cartoon. I liked the lessons at the end when Orko would pop up and be like, "Hey, today we learned this. In case it was too heavy-handed for you, let me explain what you were supposed to pick up." And just, yeah, it was fun. It feels like, as opposed to some of the other stuff that you can look back and be like, well, this was either terrifying or problematic or weird or
Mhm.
not. He-Man was just what it was. It never pretended to be more or less than what it was. And yes, She-Ra was a damn delight, and hopefully we can talk more about that later. Um, but I just, yeah, yeah, I really enjoy the cartoon. I will admit, and I don't know, Heather, if you are as steeped in all of the reboots and the other animated series that came out, because
Yes.
I didn't watch any of the others. So I'm
I
curious to get
I
into that.
Yeah, I did the Kevin Smith one and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
Okay.
Um, I did not see the She-Ra one. The animation itself looked like there was this cartoon also in the late 80s, early 90s. I think it was called Beverly Hills something. Anyway, it was all just cartoon drama, but She-Ra looked the animation looked exactly like her. And I'm like, nope, I can't take this seriously. And I just
Yeah.
never watched it. I never watched it. I never watched the She-Ra one.
Yeah. I felt like I was too connected to the original and so would not enjoy any of the newer
Yeah.
ones. And sometimes Kevin Smith can be too much for me, but maybe I'll go back and give that a shot.
He made it the Tila and Evelyn story. It
Well,
was it
that
was
that,
totally
that I
centered
can get
about
down
those.
with.
Yep, and it was pretty good. And Lena Headey did
Oh,
Evelyn. Yeah,
interesting.
that sold me. And Mark Hamill did Skeletor.
Oh, well, you can't beat that.
No.
When you said you're a Skeletor girl, there is what I love from the cartoon is the absolute petty bitchiness of Skeletor. He is one of
Yes.
the original petty bitches. He is so great, like just snide and sneering and like, I'm gonna run away now. And just, I love it. Yeah.
Well, I'm clearly the outlier on this show. I have never seen an episode of Masters of the Universe, He-Man or She-Ra. I'm familiar with the characters only because they were, advertised on television. I'd seen the cartoon being promoted. My kids were born later in the 80s, and so I that was a period of time when I was an adult without children. So the only familiarity that I had with the characters or even the concept of Masters of the Universe came from a very strange source, listening to speeches in my argumentation class. The original Masters of the Universe program drew all kinds of criticism because there were advocacy groups like Action for Children's Television, that argued that the show was simply a marketing tool for Mattel Toys, and there was a theory that kids had a hard time distinguishing between what is entertainment and what is advertising and what is reality, and that they were exploiting this kind of naivete of the kids to hook them into buying toys by giving them these entertainment programs. And so I heard several speeches in my classes from people who made the argument that this was a problem. I never bothered to watch the show to find out if it was true. I just listened to the presentations. The first time I ever encountered Masters of the Universe on my own was the 1987 film, because I am a film guy, and it came out and I said, oh, well, this is a thing. I know it's there. And I remember seeing it in 1987. I think I can remember the theater that I saw it in, and it
Wow.
was a lonely experience because no one was there.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think
And
it wasn't exactly successful.
yeah, and I think I actually went by myself, which is kind of strange because might have been one of those things that I just went during a summer day when my wife was working, and the kids were either at well, no, I would have only had one at that time, and maybe I know I didn't take her to it, so she might have been with her grandmother. I'm not sure. But like I said, and that's the only time I saw the film up until this last week. I hadn't seen it again since then, and I did not remember it
oh.
being very good. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. But like I said, I really didn't know anything about it, and I'm going to have a few comments about that situation when we talk about the movie itself, because there are things about the movie that kind of affect my impression of the whole idea of the characters in the toy line and the other animated series. So when we get to the main event here, I'll come back to that. Well, since I've raised it as an issue, have you got some thoughts about the 1987 film?
I I remember it fondly. I haven't rewatched it in a while, and I think that's because I'm aware it's not great. And I think that it's another one of those situations where it felt like it was made by people who either didn't watch the original cartoon or had a very passing knowledge of it. Like, were aware it was a thing, but weren't really fans of it. It had some of the same characters, but none of them felt super similar. Plus, too much Courtney Cox is not good for anyone, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I stand with the movie. Like, I remember it fondly. I think Dolph Lundgren was at the time the only choice. Probably still is. Um, but yeah, I remember it fondly, but that doesn't mean that I'm in a hurry to go back and rewatch it. The Billy Barty character, who, God bless him, man, did that he worked in the 80s. He worked.
He was in everything, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I just remember the movie being a little bit crazy about, like, they didn't have Orko, but they had that character who basically was his character from Willow just in another movie, and they had a key that fell through space and time that was basically an electronic keyboard, and then Courtney Cox's boyfriend was like, "Oh yeah, I can use this, hook it up to my electric keyboard and send you all back home." And then Skeletor invaded with an army, and Meg Foster played Eva Lynn, which was some pretty good casting at the time, and
Yes,
um.
yes.
Courtney Cox's
And
parents were dead, but then when they reset everything, she got to go back in time prior to when they died, so she was able to save them. Like, what? None of that is part of He-Man.
Jeanette, you remember a lot.
I think you're fonder of that movie than you're letting on.
Yes, you don't need to rewatch it because you've got it all.
Okay, good. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, and Frank Langella as Skeletor. I will mention that because, and this will roll into my discussion later with the current movie, but he did a great job with what he had available, and the prosthetics of the skull face for the 80s. What you can do with a skull face villain, I think, was they did the best they could, and he was like, "Oh, this is what's happening. That I'm just gonna chew every bit of the scenery, and you're all gonna love it." So
Yes, yes.
that's what I would say about that. He
It was
was
like
great.
Michael Caine in the Muppets Christmas.
Yeah, exactly,
I'm
exactly.
showing up for this. I
Yes,
don't care.
I'm classically trained, and you're giving me this. Great. I'm going to go ahead and use this as an acting exercise, and I'm going to go all out, and everyone is going to have to come up to my level. And so that, yeah, so fond memories, but with a full acknowledgement that it might not be great. But that's kind of where I live. That's my sweet spot.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good spot to have. That'll make a lot of things more palatable for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right.
Heather?
I've watched it and I will watch it anytime I see it on TV. And that's the main place where we differ. But I can fully acknowledge that this movie is not good. It is not good. I love it because it's rooted in nostalgia and because I was so in love with He-Man and She-Ra and the Masters of the universe that I didn't care. I also loved Dolph Lundgren when I was younger. So,
We all did. We all
yep.
did.
I still do. So yes,
Yeah.
yes, he's Dolph. But you were absolutely right, Jeanette, about them not really having any idea about the source material. It was Canon Films that made it. And if you don't know about Canon Films, they did not make any real movies that usually made it to the big screen. They have a history of very, very lots of sex, kind of like what is the horror asylum films.
Sure.
They were like the asylum version of 80s flicks at the time. So this was their biggest movie by like leaps and bounds, and it did not do well. So yeah, it was kind of crazy that it even happened. I do love it though. I love it even in its terribleness. And Jeanette gave a very, very good explanation of the ridiculous plot that doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like Conan meets Adventures in Babysitting almost. It's just ridiculous. The story doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it looks really fun. It looks really cool, and the characters are fun in it, and it does make you laugh a lot. There's some good fight sequences. Dolph is a fun He-Man, even though he's not like the He-Man that we know. I think he even said that he did not enjoy that he had to walk around in the damn loincloth through the whole movie. Um, yeah, it
He-Man's
felt kind
outfit
of
is
weird.
not practical. We'll
Nope,
say that up front. The
nope,
traditional
none.
He-Man outfit, not practical.
Nope, none of our Masters of the Universe costumes are. Poor She-Ra in those that short skirt
Not
and super
practical.
high boots. Nope. Cool looking, but not practical. Um, yeah, it was just fun. Would I recommend it to somebody now? No, not
No.
unless you're a big fan and you love like the cheesy 80s stuff, then absolutely not. But I adore it for what it is. And
I
it's
will say
just
sorry, not to cut off your,
no,
but
you're good.
the I think that the whole concept of Eternia, which is the land that He-Man and the Masters of the Universe come from, is difficult to bring. And both that movie and this movie have this weird idea of like, but how do we connect it to here and now, right? Because Eternia
Yeah.
exists in this like, it's both medieval feeling and that there's kings and sorceresses and swords and sandals and all that kind of jazz, castles, etc. But also super high tech weaponry, spaceships, lasers, etc. And so it's perfect for 80s fantasy, but it's also very difficult to translate into something you can watch and connect to. And I think the 80s, the Dolph movie, for lack of a better description, did the best they could, but still wasn't great. So it's difficult to make that transition as well. Eternia itself makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. And they even do in the cartoons. They even try to make that connection too. They do it in the holiday special
Hmm.
where they bring the kids from Earth back, and that's when Skeletor finds his holiday spirit. Oh, I like these children. It's
My goodness.
so ridiculous. But they even do it then, and it still makes no sense then. Like, why are they celebrating Christmas in Eternia?
Yeah, yeah.
But they
Well,
did.
I caught up with the movie last week in anticipation of. I actually watched it late at night, the night before we went to see the new film, just so I could see how I remembered it and whether or not it's going to be connected to the current film. And as I'm watching the first 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going, this looks so much better than I remember, and its production values seem pretty high at the start. And then the acting starts, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. This is awful.
Oh,
And you know, the look of the film, and then the action scenes start, and they mostly consist of people standing around pointing weapons with, animated laser dots going back and forth. I'm going, this looks like a 1970s science fiction show. It's not even Star Trek level use of
Buck
phasers,
Rogers bit, a little bit of Buck
Yeah,
Rogers in there.
Yeah,
yeah.
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 It was really cheesy, and that was primarily most of the action. There was a little bit of sword play with Dolph, but not nearly enough to
Not
make it
nearly
feel
enough
like it.
hand-to-hand combat. Yes.
No,
Yes,
especially when he can
exactly.
handle it.
Yeah. So it felt like it was a huge missed opportunity, and all the stuff on Earth was just stupid. It
Yes.
was just
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
and
The whole movie really is. It's
The whole
fun,
movie's stupid. Yeah.
but it's
and
stupid.
it is stuck in the 80s thing. James Tolkien is in this movie, and he's doing his best impression of his role in both Back to the Future and Top Gun.
Oh God, that's
He's just
right. I forgot about
exaggerated
that.
Oh
character.
my God, you're so right.
That's the thing I forgot about.
And it makes no sense whatsoever. And
No.
when you say too much Courtney Cox, I didn't think she was in it that much. I had remembered that she was in it. And I said, "Oh yeah, Courtney Cox is in this." And I watched it. I said, "Yeah, she's kind of in it, but it's not. She, it's not that big a deal that she's in it, and she doesn't have that much to do. Anybody could have done that part. So it was just one of those things that I said, "Well, I'm glad I checked in on it again, but boy, do I never need to see this again." I'm sorry. It
Oh,
was.
you know the
I'm
one
not.
thing I
I'm not
think.
going to join that group of people who find that that movie is somehow, well, like I said, I don't have the nostalgia for it that other
That's
people might
Yeah.
have.
that's fair. That's
It's
fair.
awesomely bad is the way I describe it. I think the one thing that it does, like there is some connection between everything in it, is it does feel like all the actors were very committed to their roles. It didn't
I will
feel
say
like they were
Frank
showing
Langella
up.
was great.
He was, but he's Frank freaking Langella. But literally everybody else, it's like, okay, I mean, they're playing the parts. They really are, whether
Well,
they're good parts or not.
I feel
No,
like
they
they
were not
probably
good
were
parts.
told, like, hey, we're making a He-Man movie. And with the
Yeah.
knowledge of how popular the cartoon was at the time, even a passing knowledge of how popular the cartoon was, as an actor, you got to be like, oh, hell yeah. I might not know anything about this cartoon, but I know it's super popular. This is going to be great. But the problem is that movie has almost nothing to do with the cartoon.
No, and that's probably why it didn't do well either. And also it made no sense.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
All right. Well, let's leave the past in the past and get to the present with the new version of Masters of the Universe. And we're going to start with our general thoughts about the new film. And I'm going to go a little bit different than I usually do. I usually let the guests go first, but I'm going to go first here because I want it said out loud very clearly at the beginning. I freaking loved this movie. I enjoyed the
hell
hell
yeah.
out of it.
Hell yeah.
I not only did I enjoy it, I went back and saw it a second time because I enjoyed it so much.
Cheers!
It entertained me exactly the way I wanted to be entertained. It did not take itself seriously, but it took itself seriously enough to be a good movie. There's humor in it that's based on the fact that it knows it's preposterous, but it
Mhm.
doesn't undermine its own value. It just acknowledges it. And I just thought it was funny where it needed to be funny. It looks great for the most part. Those parts that there's a lot of CGI in it. That's just the world that we live in. But I thought that it looked reasonably well, good, whatever. It was fine. But I thought all of the actors were really good. The guy who's the lead character in the movie, what's his name?
Idris Elba?
Yeah, he was
He's the second
the
lead
lead in
character,
my
yes.
head anyway.
By the way,
He was
I spent
definitely the
I,
lead in my head.
I spent time trying to remember. I said, "That's not Idris Elba, is it?"
Yes.
And yes, the answer is yes, it is Idris Elba. Nicholas Galzantine is the guy, and I said he looks familiar too. And Amanda told me he was in the movie The Sheep Detectives that we just saw. I said,
Really?
"Oh,
Oh, that's fun.
well, that makes sense." I said, "Okay, I know he looked familiar, but I couldn't name anything that he'd been in." and he was great in this particular movie. I thought he got the idea of what the role was. Now, whether or not it's the He-Man role that you guys remember from the cartoons and the comic books and the magazines and the toys, I don't know. But for the way it was written for this movie, I thought he was perfect.
Mhm.
And we'll get to Idris Elba in a minute.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
All right. So how about you, Jeanette? How did you feel about the movie in
I
general?
100% agree. 100% agree. For the second time in the last month, I walked out of the theater being like, what a delight. What an absolute delight. What a throwback to how it used to feel to go to the movies where you're just like, hand me my popcorn, let me watch something for a couple hours. What a freaking delight. I just had such a good time, and I'm very curious to hear what Heather thinks, but oh my goodness. I didn't go back the next night, but I was going to. I just ran out of time. I had such a good time. I was this I described the Dolph movie as one made by people who maybe had never seen the original cartoon or had some general knowledge of it. This feels like it was made by someone who watched the original cartoon and both loved it but was aware of its flaws.
Yes,
I
perfect.
feel like at
That's a
no
good way of
point,
saying it.
yeah, at no
Yeah.
point does it take itself too seriously. I went into this and I said to somebody before I was going, I was like, if they're brave, they're gonna have a scene where He-Man just is running and runs. It's the same scene played on a loop 30 seconds, which is what I remember most about the cartoon. Like to save money, it was that Hanna-Barbera bit where
Yeah.
running
Right.
was the same thing. It like for 30 seconds in a row, just the same scene looped. I was like, I kind of want that in this movie. I want the people who are making this to have that level. And honestly, while that exact thing didn't happen, I feel like there was a nod to it here and there. So I could not have been happier. I was shocked by how much I enjoyed this. And yes, we will talk about all of the casting, all of the folks in it, how they all committed, how I feel like they got the tone just right, and how I had some concerns. Sorry, because this sentence could just play out of context. I had some concerns about Jared Leto. I feel like that sentence applies almost
Yeah.
everywhere at any time.
Yeah,
But when they
exactly.
were like, we hired Jared Leto for Skeletor, I was like, oh no. Oh no, no. Come on now. We don't need. But I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I knew Idris was gonna be fun. I didn't know Nicholas Galzatine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gallet, but that guy really understood the assignment. But my goodness, is this the correct use of Jared Leto? I was surprised. Absolutely the petty bitch that I remember. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was delighted. And yes, the look of this, the costumes, they look like the 80s cartoon
They
and
did. They
without
did.
any shame about that. I thought that was fantastic. The look of Skeletor is fantastic. And the fact that, and I know, Richard, you mentioned a lot of it is CGI, like Cringer slash Battle Cat. Okay, you got to have a CGI
Yeah.
giant green tiger that talks. Fine. But there was a lot more practical in this than I was expecting in terms of costumes and combat and sets and Skeletor suits. I was really surprised by that and it looked amazing. And I was so happy. I left the theater with such a big smile on my face and I was like, oh my God, what a delight. So yes, that's where I'm at.
Now,
I will
Heather, I know
say.
that you were sometimes delighted, but sometimes disappointed. So it's your turn. What are your thoughts?
I overall really liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a ton of fun. Like Jeanette said, lately it has been so nice going to the theater. I've been walking away from popcorn flicks and just
Yeah,
being like, oh, it was fun. Oh, I
yeah,
was entertained. Oh my gosh. Oh, the hero won. Thank you. I just needed that easiness. God, do we need that in the world right now? I
amen.
need these kinds of movies, especially for the summer. And that was kind of the way I approached it too. I was like, are they going to, it looks like from the trailers that it was going to take the popcorn flick route. They could have taken a serious route and made it dark. They took the popcorn flick route, and I have no complaints about that whatsoever. I thought they did a really good job of inviting a new audience in to the
Hmm.
world. And I think some of the choices that they made and some of the things that they did choose to kind of, move away from made sense in that capacity. I loved our Adam. I thought he was wonderful. I thought he was a freaking delight. He was funny. And oh my God, is it as, sarcastic as our cartoon was? No, but it was hilarious. I laughed through that entire movie from beginning until end.
Yes.
Laughed my
It was
butt
so
off.
clever. I thought it was very clever, and I don't think it's got anything to do with the original show. How he has names for all of the other
Yes.
characters there
That
Yes.
was my
because he was a
favorite
kid
part.
Yes.
That
and
was
he's
my
just
favorite part.
drawing the pictures of what he remembered and giving them names, and
Yes.
that becomes his truth later on in the
Yes.
It
film.
is so brilliant to handle the commercialness. How the cartoon literally was a commercial for the toys, and
Yep.
how every character had the dumbest name ever because you gotta put that on the toy. To have that play out in this movie of that's how he gets ejected from ejected. He removed from Eternia at 10. So that's what he remembers, and that's how he refers to all of these Ram Man and Mechanic and Man at
Because
Arms.
it is ridiculous.
Crapjaw.
It's
Brilliant.
so
It's
it's
such a
so
good way to get those names in there and make it make sense and yet still
and
be
also
true.
not change, and not change their
Yes.
names. And I
Oh,
agree with
God.
costumes
So
too.
good.
I was so happy when I saw Man at Arms costume. I was like, oh, they did it right. They did it right. They're gonna do this right. I am
Yeah.
so excited.
Yeah.
Everybody, that was one of my favorite parts too.
Yep.
Also the music, the soundtrack, it had like this
With one
great.
exception.
It had
With
it had great 80s vibes to it though. I liked
yeah,
that it
the
mixed.
synth rock.
Yes, there we go. But it wasn't
Yeah.
too much. It wasn't overt. I thought they used the music really, really well throughout too.
There's one song use
I know what
that
you're talking
really
about.
upset me, and I know you know,
Mhm.
and because I was like, ooh, Heather is in my heart it started, and I was like, ooh, Heather and I are gonna have the same issue with this. So
Yep.
we'll talk about that later.
Yep. But overall, and I did have some complaints about it. I did not love the look of it as much, and it's not because it was so bad. It just is in every movie now. Like you said, Richard, every movie has this CGI background, and to me, it's like Call of Duty skins. We're just taking it, moving into this next one, so
Sure.
it doesn't feel as unique and real to me. It didn't ruin it for me, but it was a little okay. All right, that's fine, no problem. I would have taken the 2D shitty cartoon look, but all right, it's fine. And it was fine. That's just me being picky, and I can understand that. But I loved it. I loved the characters. Man at Arms was the best. Man at Arms was the best in the whole movie. He was so wonderful. Oh my gosh, I cannot stop going on and on about how wonderful he was. He
I
was
feel
the
like
glue
he's
that
got
held
the
it all
best
together.
arc in the movie. Like he's the one.
It
I
could have
was
been
not
his
prepared for
story.
it.
I kind of wanted
almost
it
is
to be
his
his
story.
story.
It almost is
Yeah.
his story. Like, yes, Adam is lost and has to come back, but Adam doesn't do a ton of growing. Like he's generally
No.
good most of the time. It's just a matter of like reclaiming what he'd lost. But Man at Arms is the one who goes through an entire cycle of like feeling like he failed and then having to come back and finding his courage and then teaching everyone else like it's when you fall, it's about how you get up. I was like, this is the hero. This is the lead.
Yes, it was so 100% agree. 100% agree. And I love that. It did. It felt like Adam's story was actually the side quest. But I don't know. I thought it was great. It was too long for me.
Fair.
Yeah, that's an overall complaint too. I loved Mortal Kombat 2. I thought it was so much fun, but also it could have been shorter.
Too long.
We don't have to have we don't need every popcorn flick to be 2.5 hours long. We can
Honestly,
stop at 2
listen,
hours. It's okay.
2 hours
It's
should
okay.
be the max, and there's nothing wrong with a 90-minute movie. Come on,
Exactly.
guys.
Exactly. We love some of those. Those are great. They're fun.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I've been on a plane twice in the last couple of weeks, and on the selection of movies on the plane, they have 90-minute movies.
Ugh,
It's
perfect.
actually a category on their list so that you can actually watch it while you're on the plane and see the whole thing. And I was thinking about that as I was watching the film. I said, I'm enjoying it. I don't have any objection to the fact that it was long, but it doesn't need to be this long. It
There it
could
is.
easily be something that's a little more
Yes.
efficient. They could get
This
in
should
more
have been a
screenings
90-minute
every
movie.
day,
Yep.
and the kids would have an easier time sitting through it.
Yes.
Also that.
Yep.
So
Yeah, yeah. But overall, I thought it was wonderful. I want to see more movies in the universe. I'm really hoping we get a She-Ra one. They were very wise with their
Well,
casting.
you did stick around for the post credits, right?
I didn't. I had to get back because I had a podcast.
Oh,
Oh,
Heather.
What did I miss? What the frick?
all right. Well, spoiler alert here. We're in the show and we're not going to have a lot of spoilers here because it's a He-Man movie, and I don't think
Right,
you're going to be
like,
surprised by
yeah,
anything that's going on.
No,
yeah.
But
there's no
there is a
revelation.
She-Ra post-credits scene.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna have to go look it up. Oh my God, I missed it. I always stick around. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna be late. I have to go. I have to go.
I
And
have taken to while I'm sitting there Googling, does this movie have a post credit? Because honestly, it makes it easier to know, does it or does it not?
yeah, I'm gonna start doing that now too.
Yeah.
But this is the most I've gone to the movies since COVID this year.
It's
Going
we're
back to the theater.
it's been so nice. There's been
Yeah,
There
really
have been a
fun
lot of good things
stuff.
to see in
Yeah.
in theater. Yeah.
yeah, it's so lovely. It's so
Here's
lovely.
my first, and this isn't a spoiler, but first of all, how dare A Knight's Tale be 25 years old? That's
Oh my
unacceptable.
gosh, I just watched it again the other day.
And
It
it's
hurts.
great.
It
Second,
still is.
how dare James Purefoy be unrecognizable to me?
Yes.
There you go. That was the first thing I needed to say. Because
Well, I tell
I'm
you,
not gonna lie to you, I knew there was gonna be a Dolph Lundgren cameo, right? I knew it.
Yes, yes.
And
It was a great moment
he's
too.
been in some of the marketing. He's been around. He's been pushing this and pushing that and being like, well, might be in some. Okay, fine, Dolph, great. We love you. Thank God you're through your 7-year kidney cancer scare and you're doing great. He sleeps 9 hours a night. This man is truly living the way he should at this point.
Yeah.
I expected him to be playing the king. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm
I
a
thought he'd be
little.
an Eternia. Yeah,
Yes,
I
I was
liked
a
that he
little
wasn't.
surprised that his cameo was pure cameo, like pop in, pop out.
yeah.
Yep.
Wink and nod at the camera, literally. Great. I'm
There were
happy with it.
so many Easter eggs, and that's the thing too, Richard. You enjoyed it so much, and there was so much that you like at the end. Even and this does not ruin anything. When everybody's sitting there laughing and they're leaning
Yes.
back, just so
Yes.
that is how all the characters laugh on the show.
Yes, that's how the cartoon ended every time. And the
Oh,
bit about
silly.
like, is he going to change far away so we can't see him change? Does he think we
I
don't
know
know that he's he?
that
I
was
was like, oh, I love it. I
that was
love
the
it.
first thing I told Mike about when I got home. I'm like, this part's so funny. It's the last part, but I have to tell you right now. And then I unloaded on him for 5 minutes before I had to run upstairs. Oh my
Also,
gosh, yes.
and sorry to start at the end, but because I want to go back and talk about all the other stuff, but the Orko lesson.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
I laughed at that and I didn't even know what it was all about.
At the
Oh,
end of every
God.
episode, Richard, there was always a lesson to every show. Like I said,
Yeah.
yes, it was a show for marketing for toys, but as children, that was not for me anyway. That was not how I absorbed it. I took this shit seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I got a lesson from Orko and He-Man or She-Ra at the end, I listened.
Yes. Yeah.
I was
And
very
that's what was
important to
definitely
me.
about. Like, listen, it's about how you get back up and the trusting your friends to help you along. I loved it. It was so good.
And
Yeah,
if you have
the
a
whole thing
skull
was
as a
tongue in
face, you're
cheek.
probably a villain.
You're probably a villain. If you have a skull as a base, you're probably a villain.
And
Again,
Skeletor looked amazing. Skeletor
love the
looked
Skeletor
amazing.
design. Love the
Yes.
Skeletor design. I worried he was going to be entirely CG. That blue suit,
Mhm.
fabulous. Looks so good. Yes, and again, the right use of Jared Leto. Just the swagger and the absolute, and I'm sorry I'm saying it so much, but just the petty bitchiness of Skeletor because that is what he was about. Just so
I
good.
I
And
felt
when he
like he
first walked in, I
was.
was like, is he going to overdo this? Is he going to actor this? Is he gonna... And like the first scene with Skeletor, you're like, oh no, this is the Skeletor I remember. I'm happy with this.
There were moments where I was very, very into what he was doing. I felt like he did a cross between Frank Langella's
Yes.
and the cartoon version. There
Mhm.
was because at times he felt very Dr. Evil to me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and sometimes it worked for me and sometimes it didn't. Just like sometimes I felt like the theatrical side of it. I was like, all right, he's still going. You can calm down now. I did not think he was horrible. I did not think he was bad. I didn't love him. I
That's
didn't
fair.
love him. Yeah, I didn't love him. And the only other casting I didn't like was Evelyn. And
Yes.
that
Wait,
was
one
she
last
looked
thought on the
great.
Skeletor bit, because and the design of the face. Like, the face is CGI because he has to be, because his face
Yeah.
is a skull. The scene where he's sleeping and the guy walks in is like, well, I wasn't sure if you were awake or not, because literally he's a skull. You can't tell. Is he
Yes.
sleeping? Is he not sleeping? So good.
Yes.
Such a good throwaway joke. I loved that. The bits where he
Oh.
was like telling everyone to laugh and he was done as sweeping around. I
That's it.
That was
I'm
a
love.
Jared.
finished.
That was a
When I
Jared
raise my fist
Labyrinth
like that,
moment.
I'm done. That is the
Yes.
crescendo.
I
Yep.
loved that. Oh my, and
That
that
was a good
sets the
one.
tone, right? That moment is like the one of the first moments you see Skeletor, and him doing that. I was like, yep, this is exactly what I needed. The bit later on when he and Adam are fighting and he enters into Adam's memories, and we start to see him in Adam's office, in Adam's gym, in
Oh, that
that
was
I could have
hilarious.
used nearly an hour of that. I
That
loved
was
that so
hilarious.
much. So much. When he walks into the office with a cup of coffee, he's like, what is this? And she's like, it's human resources. Him and Sashir Zamata, give me that show where it's just Skeletor and Sashir in an office. I want that.
Yeah. 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 I'd watch that. I'd watch that 100%.
That seems like a web series on its way to
Oh my
delivery
God,
right
yes.
now.
Oh, I would love it.
Oh, and two with and just piggybacking the Skeletor thing, because these were the only two casting things that I had any issue with whatsoever. And again, most of it was rooted in nostalgia for me. So I don't think it's going to be an issue for people that were not huge fans of the cartoon. But Evelyn was
Felt
very
wrong.
Evelyn was scary.
Yes. That, and
She
I
was
think that was
scary
my
and kind
issue
of
with Alison
sexy
Brie.
too.
That
Yeah,
was
and
my
I
issue with
like
Alison
her.
Brie. Not
She was funny. She was hilarious, but that's not Evelyn.
That's
She
not
could have
Evelyn.
no, she wasn't Evelyn at all. And I don't think that was her fault.
We
But
needed, you know who I would have loved, and this is going to be weird, but go with me on this, because I've been watching on Apple The Last Thing He Told Me. Jennifer Garner has layers that she has not had the opportunity to
oh,
use. I would love to see her in a pure villain role, and I feel like she could have nailed the balance between Evelyn being kind of sexy, kind of scary, but also a little tongue-in-cheek. I I
yeah.
really would have liked to see her there. Alison Brie felt a little bit off to me, but that's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
And
thought
again,
Alison Brie got the tongue in cheek really well.
she
You
was
know,
funny. She
Too
was
much though.
very funny. Yeah.
For
Evelyn,
that character, for my memory of that character, I think.
again, I love having your perspective of not having anything attached to the cartoons,
Yes.
Richard,
yeah,
because
Because
this
then
is
you're
what a
like,
lot
she's
of people going
hilarious. Yeah.
in. Yep,
yeah.
yep. So that's why I say a lot of my issues are not what I think are like real problems for the movie. They are personal ones where I'm just like, oh, it's not like a bad thing. And
Yeah.
she was quite funny. She just
Very
wasn't
funny.
Evelyn.
Costume looked great.
Yes, the costume was fantastic.
Her
Oh,
her job is to do some eye rolling at some of the folks and at Skeletor. Loved it. That's fine. This is
mhm.
great.
I like the eye
She
rolls
is
at
always
Skeletor.
annoyed. She's
Yes.
the smartest woman in the room,
Yes.
always. And
Always.
she's very annoyed that nobody listens to her.
Yes.
And she
I
can't say,
did
I
love
told you so.
her line to Tila of like, well, why don't you and I just get out of here and let them fight it out? I was like, yeah,
Yes,
that feels correct.
that works for me. I also like Tila. Tila was
Yes.
great.
Because Tila's definitely the one who is
A
has no
hero
time
as
for
a
your
kid.
jokes.
Oh,
Yeah. Great.
nope,
Well
nope.
done.
She's not about any of the BS at all. She was great in all of her action sequences. She was what I would expect Tila to be. And I thought
Well,
there'd be like, I don't know, I thought there'd be more weirdness between her and Adam. I liked that there kind of was like he thought that he might get to kiss her and she was like, "What?" I love that there was
I
no
love that they
romance
didn't
there.
force that
That
romance.
they
I
did
love
not
that it
force the
wasn't
romance.
there.
Yep.
So good.
Yep.
She had the tone right for her because every every pile of zany characters has to have a straight man to point out the zaniness of the everybody else. And she got to be the straight man. And I thought
Yep.
that was wonderful.
It worked. It worked because she was, aside from Man at Arms too, she was another like very integral centerpiece of everything. She was kind of the nucleus from which a lot of everything moved as far as the plot went, because she was always there with Adam, other than when he was, stuck here. Which all of his scenes in the office and with his roommate and trying to get the sword when he was in the comic shop trying to find
Oh,
his
God.
contact.
On the
I almost
date.
fell. Oh, the date. I mean, that's the stuff in this movie, the humor in this movie is funnier than humor I've seen in comedies for the last 10 years.
And it's what a credit to that dude, whose name I forgot again, Nicholas Galatine,
Nicholas, I'm gonna scrub his last name every time. We'll
Galatine,
call him, I'm gonna call him NG. Nick
Galatine,
G. Nick
Galatzine. It's
G.
like
Galatine,
magazine.
like Galaxy, but
Galatzine.
Galatine.
Galazine.
Galatzine.
In the hands of someone who wasn't him, those scenes, because he's so genuine and lost in our world, and he's not going to let go of who he is and who he knows he is, which is why he doesn't really have an arc, because he knows who he is the whole time. It He just is so genuine and yet so sweet, but also such a bumbling fool, because he's just looking for this sword and drawing these drawings, and his roommate finds him to be kind of a lovable doofus, and his date is like, no, and
Freaked out.
his boss is
Yes.
like, no, at no point is no one's portraying him as a bad guy or insane. They're all just like, oh, buddy, no.
Well, that's the thing too. It was a really great opportunity for comedy, first of all.
Yes.
And secondly, and so often in these cases, in these types of stories, you would have that character be like over time go, I must be crazy. I was an
must be
insane
crazy, yeah.
person. I imagined all of this. And instead, they leaned even harder in the opposite direction. It was refreshing.
It was.
Truly refreshing.
I will say too, the other thing that I liked about it, in the way everyone else reacts to him, in that had this movie been made in the 80s, someone would be bullying him for being in it, but no one did here. They're all just like, oh no, you can't do that. We need you to be focused here, but no one was belittling him or making fun of him or any of that, which I kind of enjoyed.
Even the HR woman.
Yes. She's like, I need you to stop looking at swords at work. Or we're gonna have, but at no point is she
Whatever
like,
your jam is, that's fine.
that's
you know.
fine. That's
That's
fine.
not
That's
at
what you're
work, all
into.
right?
Yeah.
Not at work.
Oh, God.
Which made her actually quite reasonable. Like,
Yeah.
oh, she's not a villain. I liked that it was low stakes. Everything,
Yes.
I just saw Mando too, and it was the same thing. I felt like it was a side quest, and the whole entire movie was low stakes, which made it fun and not stressful.
Because
And
you could relax.
yes, and just enjoy the ride.
Yes,
Just enjoy.
100%. I agree with that. Yeah. Yes, it was such a delight. Trying to think, was what the transition from our world back to, which he's in our world for 15 years. The transition, and it was always a little bit weird in the cartoon, the difference between Prince Adam and He-Man. And it's not on the level of Bruce Wayne and Batman, but there was always this thing of like, well, Prince Adam is kind of, he's the fop prince of the castle. Like, no one takes him seriously, and we all have to protect him. And he can't fight, despite the fact that he was bigger than everybody else. He never really changed size when he went from Adam to He-Man in the cartoon. There was a little bit of that here, where Adam is very much like, oh, he's fine. He's still big, but we're like, hey, he's no warrior. It's fine. And then when he gets the sword and oh, by the way, Marina Baccarin is the sorceress. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know she was in it. I was so excited. I love her so much, and she was great. And so beautiful. That woman is stunning.
Yes.
Oh, yes, she was great. She was great. I also liked the joke about, and this is just the self-awareness that was just, continuous throughout the whole movie, was when he's like, so what happens when I change back? Do I have clothes?
Where are my pants?
Like, what's gonna happen?
And
I
I
love
do
that
buy a new shirt every time, and I was like, that is a question we all had watching the cartoon.
Yes, yes. So he goes back into his clothes, and we're like, okay, we addressed it. And so we can all just agree that it's ludicrous and
God,
enjoy it.
So
And I
good.
loved that. I did feel like they were beating a dead horse a little bit with the whole he doesn't want to fight or be a warrior, and he's a bad warrior, and blah blah blah. And then once it became a funny point, once he transitioned into He-Man and was
Yes.
like, didn't know what to do with himself. But up to that point, I was like, I don't really feel like this is so necessary. Like him getting his butt kicked in the beginning scene, that was fine. That was fine.
Mhm.
I was there for that. But I just felt like it was continually addressed as him like being a total pacifist. And I'm like,
Was Prince Adam on Earth in the cartoon series, or is that just something that they've added
no.
for the movies?
that was for the movie. He's He's never trapped. Earth, I think,
It's
is like, I think his mom is from Earth. I think that's true in the
She
cartoon.
definitely said that in this movie, and it felt
Yeah.
like,
I
yeah.
think I think that that's true. I think she's from Earth, or maybe his grandmother or something. There's some lineage there. I actually have a friend who wrote some fan fiction about 20 years ago. Rob Denner, if you're listening, I'm talking about you right now. And his concept, he wrote his fan fiction story, and he wrote his concept was very similar to this. It was that Adam had to go to Earth and hide there for whatever reasons, and then later Man at Arms and Tila came back and were like, "Yo, we need you to come over here and kick some ass." And that was
Oh.
his whole plan for it. Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry somebody else made your movie, Rob. But yeah,
well, I think we've
that wasn't
talked about
in the
most of the
original.
things. We've talked about most of the things that I was going to kind of bring up. I have one or two other things. Heather, I know you have a favorite character. Jeanette, did you have a favorite character?
It's got to be Skeletor, and I'm sorry to be a cliche, but man, that surprised me. I was definitely a cringer girl on the cartoon. Like I loved Battle
Yeah.
Cat. That was my favorite. So there wasn't really a ton of Battle Cat in this, and maybe just to save money. But the parts that were there I really enjoyed. And I feel like if we get more, we'll get more. So we'll see how that goes. But I was surprised by how much I enjoyed Skeletor. And I'm not gonna lie, I think part of it is due to Isaac Wells on Instagram because I'm an adult. I'm not on the TikToks. But he does little Skeletor videos. If you're not aware, it's he does little Skeletor jokes on Instagram. If you're not familiar with Isaac Wells, look him up. They're very funny. But he does the original voice. So that was something where I was like, is the voice going to work? Is it not going to? It works. It's great. So I was surprised by how much I enjoyed Skeletor, and that would be my favorite character. I was also surprised that Man-at-Arms is kind of the center point of the story, which I enjoyed. Also, just talking about the look of things, Beastman looked great, and I was
Yes.
surprised by that as well. I was like, holy crap! Beastman looks great. Trapjaw, Lockjaw, whichever jaw guy. When he shows up, I was like, because he's the first one you really get a good look at, and I was like,
He
wow,
looked fantastic. He was
he
scary
looks
looking.
amazing, and all of that is practical, and it looks fantastic. It's the same reaction I had watching Mortal Kombat 2, where I was like, Baraka looks
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
They
What I
made
thought
a
about
practical
when it came
Baraka.
up. Yeah, exactly.
I'm shocked by this. I love it. So yes. And then I have, we'll get to it, but a list of like three things that I wasn't happy with, and we'll talk about it anyway. But yes, favorite character, I'm going with Skeletor. It's a cliche answer, but I'm still going with it.
It's okay. It's
I
Skeletor.
got I got another question for you, those of you steeped in the lore. Is Roboto a character in the cartoons?
Not that I remembered, but I figured it
I
was me.
No, I don't remember it either. And I've watched the series. The last time I watched it was probably like 4 years ago, so it wasn't even that long ago for me. But no, I don't remember
Because
Roboto.
after Skeletor, that was my favorite character.
Really funny.
You know, the
Really
robot
Yes.
funny.
with the disgusted attitude about what she's having to do
Yep.
and setting the ground rules for how she's going to be reprogrammed and what she's
Yep.
willing to do, and just kind of commenting on things as we went along. I just thought this was a very clever way of integrating something in the movie that people could kind of appreciate as an outsider looking at all the weird stuff that's happening.
Yes.
Well, I
Any
always like
fluids
to
that come
when
out of you are yours to deal with.
That's it,
yes,
exactly.
I am always appreciative when you have huge casts like this and tons of side characters. It's so important to make you familiar with them and cement who they are right away. And it's also really hard to do. But that's really how movies like this, I mean, if you're invested in the characters, then they matter to you, then obviously you care more about the story. And in a lot of these cases, that doesn't happen. But even with with Roboto and Man at Arms, there was clearly history that the two of them had. History we weren't privy to, but was
Hmm.
Right.
insinuated and referred to constantly. That was so clever, the writing in that, because we're like, oh, we're seeing it act out in front of us without having the knowledge of how it became that way. Really, what you took this away so she couldn't do this? Yeah, well, she tried to kill me, and there's really like no explanation for
Yeah.
how you
Nothing
got to that
beyond
point.
that.
No, and I love that, and I was very thankful for that.
It
I'm
was
like,
just a malfunction.
good. Yes, yes, and they're both so indifferent with each other. It was kind of like old married couple energy, actually.
Yeah.
But there was so much good character work in all of them. I mean, even even the police who picked up Adam.
Oh God, that was good.
They were in it for all of what 2-3 minutes and had a couple lines, and I was like, they were funny. The one
They
who
were
was like,
funny.
yeah, it was, and they ran for it too, which
I
great.
also enjoy, and I think it really it enhances the tone, establishes the tone, is it perfectly describes the tone. The slow motion scene where they're walking out of the jail cell, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the moment. Here's our group, the slow motion, and then they all have to start coughing in slow motion because of all the dust from breaking through the
Yes,
rocks. Yep,
yes.
that's exactly what we're talking about.
So tongue in cheek, so self-aware, just great, so
All
great.
right, Jeanette, you mentioned you had a couple of reservations, so let's hear about those and see if we've heard a few from Heather, but you said you had two or three.
Yeah, I think thing number one is the length. Didn't need to be that long. And it didn't bother me while I was watching it, but yeah, let's get back to making 90-minute, 100-minute movies. I think that's where we need to be. This didn't need to be that long. The sequence, the flight, I mean, Battle of Endor sequence, if that helps. The speeder bikes through the forest
Yeah.
stuff. There was too much of that. It went on for too long. We didn't really need it. Um, that was the part where I felt the closest to like we're just going to play the same travel scene over and over again. Is he's running, he's running, he's running. That's the one. I was like, this feels like it's doing that, but maybe they didn't mean to here. I didn't need all of that. It was too much. Um, the music part. Can we talk about the song choice that pissed me off?
Let it
Sure, is
rip.
it the
Let
Queen
it rip.
song?
It's the Queen song, and it's the
Yep.
Queen song because that's not the Queen song, that's the Highlander song. You don't play
Yep.
that in any other IP. Period, full stop.
No, and it did it at the apex of the freaking movie. Like
Exactly.
it is the climax. What are you
Exactly.
doing?
Yeah,
Stop it. Great
unacceptable.
song. Not
Unacceptable
okay.
to
You
use
don't
it
like the
there.
idea that a cheesy film uses a cheesy film to reference itself?
Well, especially because they keep threatening us with this remake, which I'm
Yes.
assuming they're going to use it in that. So stop. And I we'll save this for when they do release that, and we have to be on the Highlander Lambcast. But
Yes. I
the
want to go
rant
on
I
with
have
you.
about like, first of all, my love for Highlander, like I love that first movie, but it's the Adrian Paul show that really cemented my love for the franchise. Um, and the characters in that. But that song is not just the song, it is the theme to the show. Like that's what they play every. You can't use that song in anything else, Brian May. How dare you? Because then he's listed as like, and to be fair, great choice to have him consult on the score of like, yes, you need that synth rock to give the 80s vibe. That's what this
Yes.
needs. But don't use that song, man. And I
And
get it
they were
because
so
the lyrics
yes.
feel like yes, it feels like it goes with Masters of the Universe, but you can't, and I'm sorry.
No, no, and they were smart and clever with the rest of the songs that they used.
Yes,
Like "The Power" by Snap was
yes,
great. "What's
yes,
Up" by Four Non Blondes. All of those were used so well.
yeah,
And yeah, the second I heard it, I'm like, no,
absolutely not.
what are you doing? No, this is bad, bad form,
Now,
bad form.
anyone else who is not who doesn't have like long form essays on why Mythos was right, might not have the same issues with the use of that song in that moment, right? Because people who are not
That's me, but with
familiar.
my hand up in the air, by the
Okay,
way.
I see you. I see you. Yes, yes, you in the back. For those people who were like, "Oh, yeah, Amanda seems cool." So fine, right? Because the lyrics, it fits and makes sense. It's the 80s synth rock. You're like, well, obviously, this feels like it was written for this. I get it. It's not though. So you can't.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's how I
All
feel,
right.
Jeanette, too. Like I said, most of my complaints are legitimately just tied to nostalgia of He-Man, or in this case, other things. So
Yes.
it's not, my complaints are not going to be those that I think the broader audience is going to have any issue with. They are Heather things, and probably things that other people that love the show the same way I did might or may not have. I still am waiting to hear from a couple people what they felt. So I'm curious. I am the only person who is not. I did not hate Leto's Skeletor, but I am the only person that didn't love it. So
Okay.
everybody I've spoken to, or the people that I follow and enjoy their
It's
opinions.
just like I said,
Really,
man,
really enjoyed him. So
I
maybe
had
I
some
need to
concerns
do
with
it.
Jared
Maybe,
Leto.
yeah.
But
Oh no, I literally posted something that said he better not F up my movie.
I think that he understood the assignment. And honestly,
He did.
sometimes
He
I
did.
am surprised by how well he understands an assignment like this, where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, he seems to get it. Because sometimes
Sometimes he can be brilliant.
and
Sometimes he
sometimes he can
can.
be an asshole. Like this
Yep.
dude, like I said, you can just use the sentence, I have some concerns about Jared Leto, and it applies all the time everywhere. It surprised me that he got it and he was on board and this was the right use of him. Like I feel like Morbius
It
is the right
seems like
use
he
of
had
him if you
fun.
could get him to tone down himself. Like he is Morbius. Like I want more Morbius as long as he continues to understand that assignment. I don't need him in some other places.
Lots of them.
And
Many of them.
I admit that I really enjoy some 30 Seconds to Mars music. I know I'm in the minority of that, but
Me too.
there's
Nope,
some of
I'm
their
with you.
songs are great. I
I'm
love
with
a good
you.
pop
I
rock
do
band.
too.
I love a pop rock band. But I really enjoyed him in this and I was surprised by that.
All right, I'm
But
going
I
to
get it.
disagree with one little thing that you were talking about, Jeanette, and
Okay.
that's that long sequence of the chase. As I was watching that, I thought to myself, if I was a kid and saw all those vehicles in that chase, I would play the shit out of those toys. I, I wanted,
Fair.
I
Touche.
wanted a saw blade flying
I
saucer
That design was cool.
Oh, okay.
with with
Yes. And by
with
the way, too,
with the
uh,
characters that fit in it, and I wanted to zip around carrying it and flying it through the air, and I would have had so much fun with that when I was a kid. As an adult, I'd say I want the collectibles, I want them up on the shelf.
but that was and to Jeanette's point earlier too, and yours is looking at it as a toy you might want to play with. The He-Man running sequences, they did employ a lot of just kind of the movement and stuff he did. Like one of He-Man's big moves was grabbing something that was like a moon or a planet even and swinging it in circles and tossing it off. And he did that with the razor ship thing. And I was like,
So good.
yes, yes, I got that moment. Yay, I got that moment. Yeah, there was a lot of things that He-Man physically would do in the cartoons all the time that they physically had Adam/He-Man do in this, and I was very appreciative of those little nuances.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we wrap this up?
I don't remember Fisto from the original show.
Fisto was in it. Yeah,
Okay,
Fisto
but I
was.
was like, I probably blocked that
Oh,
one
the
out.
fisting jokes! The fisting jokes! Are you
Yes.
freaking kidding
The
me?
fisting jokes that did not stop, and it was one of those where like, okay, that's funny, and then you're like,
It
all right,
was
these aren't funny anymore, and then they keep going, you're like, yeah, all right, they're funny
okay.
again.
It's funny. It's
It's
funny.
it's
Yeah,
funny again.
I had
That's
the
right. I'm
exact same
fisting him.
experience. It was very much like Pee Wee Herman energy of I'm going to make this adult joke that kids won't get at all.
Right.
Uranus. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It was
Funny.
good. It was good. So funny.
Well, I'm afraid that as much as we enjoyed the movie, the rest of the world doesn't seem to be as appreciative of it. It's not doing very well, and I'm not sure we're going to get that She-Ra follow-up.
Oh, it makes me so
Oh,
sad because I want to
balls.
spend more time in this uniform. Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to see more. I want to see more. And I think I also, and I don't, and I hate saying this too, but I also don't think that this is one that, especially specifically right now when there are actually a lot of movies to go see at the theater, which I'm so excited to say that part of it.
Hmm.
This is not one that I would be like, hey, this is one you have to see in the theater. This is absolutely one that I think is okay to watch streaming. I don't think the experience on the big screen is going to make a huge impactful difference on whether or not this is an enjoyable movie. But I do think that just about anybody can enjoy this movie.
Yeah. Well, luckily, since it is an Amazon movie, with that product placement of the Amazon Prime truck hitting
That was
Eastman,
hilarious.
great.
Yes.
I appreciated it. That's some good product
Hilarious.
placement. It should be on Prime
It will be
soon.
delivering in a few days, I'm sure.
Right. I enjoyed it in the theater. I thought it was big, splashy fun and definitely worth a Saturday afternoon, like rainy. Go to the theater.
By the way, that's exactly what we did, a Saturday afternoon rainy experience.
There you
Only I
go.
think it was a Friday afternoon rainy experience. And we saw it in a D-Box theater the second time.
Ooh,
So the chairs all shake and move and rattle and
Oh,
elevate and hum while you're watching the movie. So that was fun too. Not particularly important, but you know, a different perspective on the whole thing.
yeah.
So I I would recommend seeing it in a theater because it's so much fun. And I heard there were people around me laughing at things,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
I always enjoyed the contagion of laughter.
Yeah.
So hopefully you get that. If you're
The,
watching it at home, you'll probably appreciate it, but not. I don't think you'll appreciate it nearly as much as if you're watching it with a crowd.
I
And
will
we
say
didn't have huge crowds, but we had a few people.
yeah, mine was mostly full. And the what surprised me and I wasn't prepared for is when He-Man yells, "I have the power." There were a couple of folks in my theater that had giant plastic swords that raised them up and also had the
Yes.
power. I was like, all right,
Awesome.
guys, great.
I usually go to early morning shows by myself, and it's rare that there are many people there, and there certainly aren't a lot of people that are by themselves. There were quite a few that were by themselves, and then there was a couple people with their kids too, and I was
Mm,
excited about that. And yes, like you said, there were people who raised their swords, and there were other people who were laughing and going along and catching on all the inside jokes, and
yeah.
and yeah, that shared experience is always cool.
Yeah. It is I used to go to the movies Friday afternoons and I what I realized is that's not why I go to the theater. I go to the theater for that communal experience. So now I'm looking for a Friday 7 p.m. Like give me the primetime show. I want it to be nearly full. I want to be there with everybody else. And yeah, it was a really fun experience. There were definitely people I could hear laughing the same time I was who were getting the jokes from the original show. Like when Dolph shows up. We didn't even talk about the Dolph cameo, by the way, but when he shows up and says "Good journey," I there were definitely a bunch of people in the theater who were 100% on board for that. So yeah, it was delightful.
I think that's going to be a future exit question, by the way. What what day of the week and what time of the day do you like going to the movies
Hmm.
and why?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah,
Yeah.
because everybody's
So
so different.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost as good as the "Where do you like to sit in the theater?" question.
Oh, that's a good one too. By not other
well,
people or people that chew loudly or talk
pe
loudly.
people have specific seats that they like,
Yeah.
they want to be in the center, they want to be in the back, they want to be third row, on the end. Everybody's got their preferences.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to finish this part of the discussion. We're going to take a quick break to hear from a fellow Lamb Podcasting Network show, and then we'll be back with our exit question of the week.
Mark!
Heather!
We need to tell people why they should listen to our show, Word of Hellmouth, in 45 seconds.
All right. For one, you and I are hardcore fans of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We know what we're talking about.
Anything else?
We are fun to listen to, and our off-topic conversations are legend.
Any other reason Scoobs out there should check us out, Mark?
Simply put, Heather, you and I are 5 by 5.
Oh, yeah!
Where can people find us, Heather?
You can find Word of Hellmouth anywhere you get your podcasts. Our home website at rabbitholepodcast.com or just hanging out at the Bronze.
And David Boreanaz, if you're listening, hit me up.
Me too. I don't care.
We're back, and let's face it, everybody, and on this show at least, loves fantasy films, and I suspect that they love fantasy films from the 1980s. So that's the exit question that we had. Since this is a remake of a fantasy film from the 1980s, what 1980s fantasy film would you like to see remade other than Masters of the Universe? And I know that some of you had an easy time with this, and some of you had a harder time with this. Jeanette, which category did you fit into?
I harder time. And because the reason fantasy films of the 80s is a phrase that everyone's like, ah, yes, is because those are iconic and really
Yes, it's the
that,
golden age.
yeah, that genre of fantasy films, if you go back and look
It
at
would be
those,
a
like
sacrilege to redo it.
honestly, yeah, like the so much of them are really defining of that particular genre that would not work any other time, any other place, it was something about the way things were, in society at the time, but just the kids' movies were terrifying and real and the imagined worlds that went on and this fantasy is, I think, at its highest point in the mid 80s with some of those movies. And for me, top is Labyrinth, and I will go on board. Like, don't ever touch it. Don't ever
Yes.
remake it.
It's happening.
I know, but it's sacrilege. Like, that movie is near flawless and cannot be remade.
Nope.
And I would have said the same about Willow. I enjoyed the TV show reboot or edition. It was okay, but didn't hold up to the original movie. The Dark Crystal TV show, where I was like, yeah, okay, more
I was just
stories.
going to ask about that.
And see,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, you talk about, like, which of these do you want remade? I don't need any of them remade, but you can make more stories in these worlds. These worlds were developed so richly, have so many characters, they're all epic. That's the nature of these. Just give me more stories in those worlds. And I think if you want to remake any of them, I'm still waiting for a live action Last Unicorn. I feel like that would be interesting.
Oh my God, I was looking at that too, Jeanette.
I feel like that one is out there. So that would be, I think, maybe the only acceptable answer is take one of them that was animated and give us a live action. I feel like Last Unicorn live action would be terrifying, horrific, and beautiful and stunning.
It
Legend
would
is
have to
one.
be dark, though. That's the thing.
But
That's the
how do
thing.
you
They
think-
all have
had
to be
so
dark.
much dark. They'd have to be dark, and I don't
That's
feel
just
like
it.
they
If
make
you
movies like that
try
now.
to remake any of these and do it true to the original, people today are going to be like, "This is not for kids. You can't put this," and we'll be like, "But that's what they were giving us.
That's what we were raised on. That's why we're dark
Never-ending
people.
Story is horrific. You can't try
Yes.
watching that without being traumatized. Now you can't." But Legend is the one where, because I feel like it was one of the first of these. Parts of that, its number one is too long. But man, the look of it, I don't want to say it should be remade, but I would be
Oh.
interested to see what someone with a really, really pure love of it and understanding of it could do. Because again, it's the most important lesson any of us learned in the 80s. The single most important lesson any of these movies taught us is Legend. And what did it teach us? Don't ever touch the unicorn, period.
Yes, Legend is, if I remade it, it would end up looking exactly the same and be the same movie. It would.
Well,
I understand, and I get it too. That one,
I could do without Tom Cruise. You could put somebody else in there, right? But you can't.
I think so, but everybody else is perfect.
Tim Curry is flawless. Billy Barty,
Oh
because
my
you can't
God.
make one of these movies without freaking Billy Barty.
I know. Oh, Tim Curry, and even Robert Picardo as
Oh my God.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, just magical. I agree with Jeanette. This was so hard. Well, either these movies are so deeply rooted in nostalgia
Mhm.
that it's hard to imagine them outside of what they are, flaws and all, or they're so dark that we know that would not happen now. I mean, I want to show my youngest dragon a lot of these movies, but he, unlike my oldest two, is not into that kind of thing and gets really upset. So I constantly he likes horror though. I don't understand, but I could never show him the never ending story. He would be devastated for weeks. I'd have to take him to therapy. It would be awful for him. Yeah. So I don't know. I really started thinking about it, and I like you said, Jeanette, I like the idea of doing expanding the universe, maybe taking some characters. Like what I got from Masters of the Universe was I want to see a Man-at-Arms spinoff. I want to see his own movie. I would like to see Tila's movie. I would like to see other people's movies here.
Give me an Amazon Prime series, right?
Yes,
it's called Masters of the Universe. It doesn't have to be He-Man every time.
Nope, it doesn't. So let's do that. Let's get all these side characters that we've loved all this time anyway and get to know them more. That's a great opportunity. And you can sell more merchandising. But I think if there was like a realm that I would go into that would benefit from, costumes, storytelling, might be, and we've already seen one of these, would be like the Conans, the Red Sonias, and
Red
Beastmasters. I love those just as they are, but I can see potentially redoing those and making them either more serious or having a good time with them and making them campy and fun for now too. I think, but again, I think that would work. Those would still work better as TV shows and exploring them that way. So I don't have one in particular because I
I mean,
couldn't think of
aren't
one.
we maybe 5 to 7 years away from getting Robert Irwin starring in a Beastmaster remake? I feel like that dude is very close to
Yeah.
crossing over into like scripted TV.
See, there we go. We got it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's too hard, and a lot of it is definitely, attachment. But
Yeah,
this is the peak time for fantasy. Fantasy has been great in the years following. There's been all sorts of wonderful stories that we've seen, but there's something about 80s fantasy that
there
is
really is.
just
So many of those
spectacular.
movies, and like you said, is it nostalgia or are they flawless movies? Like I said, Labyrinth is my favorite. It is, in my
Hmm.
opinion, nearly a flawless movie.
I
That little
agree.
worm, I could talk about that little worm who wants to have him in. Come on in and
Hello?
meet the missus. That worm is
Have
perfect.
a cup of
No
tea.
notes. The
Yep.
movie Lady Hawk. The movie Lady Hawk is
Oh, with
perfect.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Yes.
Yes, I, yeah,
That white gold.
yeah.
And yet, I'm not and I love Highlander and I want to be on that show with Jeanette.
Yeah.
I did not feel like that needed to be remade for the
No.
same reasons. However, they did get Henry Cavill and I like who's directing it and I'm trying to be open-minded about it
Trying
and
to
I
be
want it to be
open-minded
good. Yeah, I
because Henry
want it.
Cavill's a guy who understands, right? And my issue is like
Yep.
Adrian Paul is still around, still doing stuff. He better be in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because it's another one where the world is so richly developed thanks to the TV show, not necessarily the movie. Just call it The Immortals, right? You don't have to call it. Sorry, Henry Cavill was already in a movie called Immortals. Um,
Yes.
but it doesn't have to be the Highlander that you're
No.
remaking. Just tell more
There can
stories in
only
that
be
world.
one. Did we learn nothing?
Just tell more stories in these worlds. We don't need remakes. Just, revisit.
Yeah.
Well,
Explore. Use your
I did
freaking imagination.
Thank you.
I did think of a film that could be remade, and it doesn't fit in the same category as the ones you guys came up with because those are solid movies that have good histories to them and deserve the nostalgia that you have for them. Labyrinth, in particular, I think fits in that category. Highlander is much better than I remembered. I saw it last year on the big screen. I said, "Oh yeah, this is solid. That's good." I know that a lot of people have huge love for that.
Clancy
Here's a
Brown,
movie.
man, just
Oh, yes.
anyway, sorry.
Here's a movie that I wanted to love. I really looked forward to, and it was just not good, and it could be, and that's Krull.
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
mm.
You
Yeah.
know, and the problem with Krull is all in the script and the story. You know, the look of the film is fine. You know, the fantasy elements in it are cool. It's a very traditional heroes kind of story, and I think the glaive could be an interesting weapon updated with a little bit better technology, but it was just it felt so episodic. We have to go to this point, 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 and so mechanical as it went through it that it just never came together as a story. And I think you could fix that, and you don't have to change the way the movie looks a great deal. You could just fix a couple of the wonky things that you couldn't do back in 1983, and this would be okay. This
Hmm.
would be okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I can see that.
I'm glad that you guys are enthusiastic about the films and don't really need to see them remade. I I roll around in the 1980s all the time and enjoy those films quite a bit. I'm a 70s guy, but the 80s films I vibe with all the time.
Mhm.
It was a good
All right,
time.
it was. It was. Well, I'm going to ask you guys if you have anything that you would like to promote here before we go, and I know that some of you do not, and some of you may. So let's see. Heather, have you got something that you would like to share with people?
Yes, Mark and I are not taking a summer hiatus this year, so Word of Hellmouth will continue. And we are not ending the season right now because we decided to pick up Angel and do it in tandem with Buffy. So we are about halfway through season 1 of Angel and halfway through season 4 of Buffy. And on our next Buffy episode, you will get Mark and I talking about Anthony Head, who just passed away a couple days ago.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that was deeply, deeply sad. He was my TV dad. And
Mhm.
Yeah, so we get kind of deep into that. And yeah, so if you love Buffy and love breakdowns of literally everything that happens in every episode and me interrupting Mark regularly, then please listen to Word of Hellmouth.
When you're interacting with Mark, remind him at some point that he is still welcome on the Lambcast. It's been a long time since he's been on, and I'd be happy to have him back.
Oh, I will let him know.
So thank you. And Jeanette, I know that you are not particularly active these days online,
No,
but
I keep
anything in
trying to
passing?
pick it back up, and I just, I have the best intentions of like posting more reviews on my site, but I get distracted. Other stuff is happening, and so yes, be sure to catch me here on the Lambcast every once in a while at the Direct to Video podcast, Forgotten Filmcast. I pop up on other people's podcasts. Deep Lucy Minute, I've been on there a bunch. So, catch me. I'm here. I'm out and around.
Sometimes
Available
it's
for
more
hire.
fun to go on other people's shows, and it's a lot less work.
Yeah, it's just there's so, life is life and right now, guys. It is, and I'm blessed to be busy, but also like, come on now.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And on my site, as usual, I'm just trying to keep caught up with all the films that I've seen in the theater. I've got 4 films that I have to post. I've written the reviews for 3 of them. I just need to edit them and post them, so they'll be up this week. And of course, the Lambcast we're trying to keep up with. Also, I've started a new series on the Lamb site. You're getting a slice of shepherd's pie every month, and it's a 007 series. And this month will be from Russia with Love, which will be posted later on today. So hopefully you all check those things out. I want
Nice.
to thank my guests again for showing up and joining the show today. Folks, this is it. This is the crescendo. This is where you now cheer me on. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to the Lambcast. If you have an idea for a show or would like to join us on the Lambcast, contact us at largeassmovieblogs.com. Find us on Facebook, just search for Lambcast, or on X, formerly Twitter, at Lambcast. And you can find us on YouTube as well. The Lamb site can be found at largeassmovieblogs.com. We'd also love it if you would leave a review on iTunes.
I
should have finished off by having us all lean back and laugh.
Yeah, you
I'm
can
going to
have
include
it
this
was
in the show
so
anyway.
good. So good to include that. Oh my God, I laughed so hard at that.
And it just kept going on too. It just kept going
Yes,
on.
it was so
Oh.
good. Between that and the him running away to change and then Oracle popping up to tell us what we learned, I was like, ah.
I
Yeah,
know.
you know what, Richard? I might need to go see it again today.